Okay, we can all breathe. So this is the second IRIS call, and it's basically kind of like to check to make sure everything that we covered in the first one got completed. And then what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to generate a package, also how to check to make sure that all the information is pulling in, and if there's anything missing, like any block scheduling issues or gaps or anything missing from demographics, we'll generate the package and then we'll check it, and then I will show you how to, once the package is generated, how to, there'll be like there might be an error log, which is okay. We'll check that to see if there's anything on there that warrants any type of work or changes. And then I will show you, once you do have your package set, how to save that so that you can send that file to CMS. All right. Questions for me before we get rolling here?
No.
Okay. All right. Any questions, Julie?
No.
Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on Finance up in the dark blue menu bar. And then what we want to do is I want to check your rotation definitions. So click on rotation definitions underneath setup. You're going to highlight Family Medicine Eau Claire in the department box, and then you're going to uncheck include archived rotations, which is down there, yep, and then refresh your rotation list down at the bottom. All right, so what I do is when I look at this, I check to see to make sure that all of these have rotation definitions set for them. So the easiest way I look at this is I kind of scroll down and look at, first of all, the check marks, make sure everything is checked. And then I also kind of look to make sure that like location and provider has information populated in it. So let's just scroll down and double check that. Make sure everything looks good. Make sure there's nothing that has anything missing. So I'm just kind of scrolling through to make sure all the check marks there, like I said, you have something in your location and provider number, which is in the center of the screen there. And I want to make sure that you don't have anything that's not checked or has anything missing. So I did find something. Yeah, is that the, yes. So musculoskeletal medicine, sports medicine. Are you going to be claiming that? Does that need to have information on it?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know at this point. We have to check with the program specifically.
Okay. So if you,
I'm gonna
if
get
that
no
needs,
provider selected even, and no
right,
location.
well, right, that means that the rotation definition wasn't created for this. And let me show you as an example. If you go and click on the one that's underneath there, nephrology oak leaf, and if you click on details on that line, and see how there are rotation definitions set up for this. This is where you go in and put that information in. You would put in, you decide who the providers are, and who gets, what percentage of the, the amount for that. And that's where all this would be created. Now for the other ones, so let's go back. Let's go ahead and click return to rotation definitions. And then scroll down to find that musculoskeletal. Yeah, there's a couple other too. Yeah, those ones as well. And those are rotations that don't have rotation definitions to them.
They just
But
say
the one, like I
review.
said, yeah, and that's a rotation that doesn't have that information. So I don't know if they use that or not use that. I don't, a rotation should be like a place, or, I don't know if that's should be a rotation anyways. Does that make sense?
Right, semi-annual review is not a rotation.
Yeah, exactly. So I think maybe that one would, I don't know if they use that one or not, but that shouldn't be a rotation name. And if so, if it's not being used, I would suggest that that is archived. But this one here, this is the one that really needs, if you click on the details for that one, it'll tell you that there's no rotation definition. But if you need one, this is where you would have to configure it by clicking, just for giggles right now, click new plus new. So this information would have to be populated, like who the provider is, the training location, what percentage they get. This would have to be populated. All right. So that's one thing that I would check.
Okay.
All right.
How do I get out of here?
Go down and click cancel and return at the bottom left. And then return to rotation definitions, which is over there on the left underneath rotation definition configuration. So that was that one, and like I said, that the other one was the that semi-annual review. That shouldn't be a rotation. So I would, first of all, see if anybody's using that, and if so, I would archive them, because that's something that is like a rotation is usually a week long or a month long. It wouldn't be something that would happen within, like an hour or something like that. That would be an assignment definition, but not a rotation. So that would be the only thing. Everything else looks good. Everything else has a place and it's checked. It looks good. So that's the only one that really you would want to address. All right.
Find
Thoughts or
it so I can-
questions? Yeah,
I just kind of so you can write it down.
yep.
And how did we get in here again? So I know.
So that is basically finance up in the dark blue menu bar, and then underneath setup, you're going to click on rotation definitions. And then you would just choose Family Medicine Eau Claire, and then refresh your rotation list.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. All right, so we have that rolling. The next thing we're gonna do, now that we have all this kind of set up, we wanna check to make sure everything else is in place. Make sure that our personnel records are in place, make sure the block schedules, are, that are marked as primary, that need to be, make sure there's no gaps in people's schedules, things like that. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and click on, obviously you're on finance there. Underneath where it says review, it's over on the right, left-hand side. It's in green. You're gonna click on demographics. Yep. And so click on the drop down for fiscal year. So there are 2 fiscal years. One is for Sacred Heart for this, fiscal year, and then the other one is for unclaimed. So those are the 2 that we're going to be looking at. Well, we'll do Sacred Heart first. So we're going to click that. And then obviously Family Medicine Eau Claire, we should have that highlighted. And then we're going to click refresh checklist. So what this does is list anything in the personnel records that might be missing something. So these 2 people here are missing an ECFMG date, which is their foreign medical certification date. Okay, so you can either export that to Excel so that you have a record of it to check, or you can go from here, and if you click on their name, it'll take you directly to their personnel record. So click on, who's that, Dr. Fossey? And then once you get there, click on the iris information, which is on the bottom right. Yeah, and so once you go there, note that his ECFMG date is missing. Okay, underneath, so he went to St. George's University School of Medicine, but we need his iris foreign certification date. And usually that date is a date that is between when he graduated from medical school and when he started the residency. So it has to be that date in between, and you have to find out what that is. You'll have to check his actual records or whatnot and see or his certificate and see what that is.
I thought I told Paula about this already. Pretty sure I did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to have her update it.
Yeah, so there was Fossey, and then there was another person.
I think it's Fossil.
Fossil, yes, you're right. There's another one too, Samantha.
I don't know the last name.
It's VOUY. So if you want to click the drop down where Fossil is, where his name is up in the top left there, and her last name is VOUY. It's very Greek. Yes, that's her. She also is missing her iris foreign certification date. Okay, so those 2 people you need to get that information in there, and that'll clear up the demographics.
Now, there is no ECFMG heading in this one. They put a heading in the other one, but they had just record number instead of date in there. So that screen doesn't automatically show up as needing to be filled in on the personnel file. It looks
On Samantha's?
Yeah, if I look at the iris info, there's no ECFMG category there.
Well, looking at her record right here where it says it's the 3rd from the bottom, the date needs to be put in there. That's what's missing.
Why don't I see it? ECFMG.
Is that what you were referring to?
Oh, you have a different screen up than what I'm looking at. No wonder. I'm in the personnel.
Down here is something that needs to be filled in because it doesn't give it any kind of alarm that it's in there.
I'm under demographics, I'm just looking, you obviously got into a create and edit mode, I didn't.
Well, if you go to demographics and then
Mhm.
you click on iris information,
Oh, okay.
there you go.
Oh, there it is, okay. I'm in the
Yes,
non,
yeah,
okay, got it.
yeah. So we want to get that date in there. So those two people, that would be like on the list, okay? Questions about that?
No?
Okay. So the next thing we want to look at is we want to go back to finance. Actually, stop. Actually, click over there in a neutral spot, Julie, kind of in the bottom. Yeah. Notice where it says return to Iris underneath your name. See where your name is in the top right?
Oh, yes. Mhm.
Yeah, it says return to Iris. There you go. It makes it a lot easier. That way you don't have to go click, click, click. You can just send you right back. So that's a nice little feature. So the next thing we want to do after the demographics is we want to look at the next tab over, which is block schedule. So again, we're going to choose Sacred Heart 2020-2021. We're going to choose family medicine, and we're going to refresh the checklist. So what this does, this table, and it kind of tells you that there, it shows rotations that are within that fiscal year that have something going on with them. They may be missing, a fiscal year setup filter, a status, a PGY, a default workload. It may not be marked as primary. And so my guess for these ones is that they are not listed as primary. So what we can do is we can go over there to the right and click on edit for each of those, or we can actually click on their name and it will send us to, no, it won't do that, but maybe we click on their name. But if we click edit, so for that first one there, I suspect, and I'm right on this, so she's got vacation listed there, the bottom, well, close to the bottom three, and then clinic elective, that isn't marked as primary. So vacation won't be marked as primary. That is normal, that's going to show up, and that's okay, it doesn't need to be configured. But I would double check on clinic elective.
So do you want me to click it, or do you want me to be checking with Paula?
You need to check with Paula and
Okay,
find out if it needs to be primary.
How do I describe this to her?
You need to let her find out from her if clinic elective, ECFM elective, the name of the rotation, is considered a primary rotation.
Okay,
In
that's
other words,
for one of them. So how do I explain what she needs to do for all of these?
I'm taking a
Well,
screenshot.
the point of that is, yeah, the point of that is if you can claim that resident while they're on that rotation, then it needs to be marked as primary. If you want to get funding and you can claim that resident on that rotation, that it needs to be checked primary. If it is not, then you leave it unchecked.
So what am I describing to her, generally speaking? Because there's a bunch of them. So I'm saying the block schedules, or what am I saying?
You're going to schedules and rotation names. And you're looking for that particular rotation name, clinic elective,
No,
ECFM. I'm sorry, go ahead.
To get that, how to get her to that whole section so she can do the whole section, not just one.
Schedules,
Okay.
and then rotation names.
And then what do I want, fix the errors or what?
No, you all need to decide whether that is considered a primary rotation. And if so, that means that you can claim that resident while they're on that rotation. If not, it stays unchecked, not primary. And if it is primary, primary means that you can claim them and get funding for them. So
Okay, so
that's the decision that needs to be made.
Needs to go to schedules and rotation names and decide if it is considered a primary rotation or not.
Yes.
Mhm.
Got it.
Okay. So that one there, vacation will not be marked primary. That's just the way that one is. So that is fine. But that clinic elective, you need to find out if that's something she works. I don't know what that means. I don't know what clinic elective means. But my point is, if you're getting funding for it, it needs to be checked primary. And then, go back to checklist. Let's go ahead and check that second one for Bob Yars. And the edits.
We're just on or no?
Oh, that is the same. Okay. Yep. Okay. Back to checklist. We need to look at Owen or Beck. Owen Beck. And see what we have going on here. Okay. So vacation away. Okay. Away. Vacation. Away. Vacation. Leave. Away. Okay, so those are fine not to be checked because he's either on vacation or he's away or he's on leave. So you wouldn't get funding for those because he's not there. So those
why
are
would
fine,
that show up on
and
the
it's
report?
okay.
Why would that show up on the report then?
Because that is the way the block schedule was created. When the block schedule was created, the rotation is called vacation, and that's the way they set it up.
Okay. And if it's not checked, it shows up on the flag as a flag to double check to see if it's fundable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's okay if vacation or away or leave or whatever is not checked as primary.
Mm-hmm.
We do see that, and that's okay.
Then, okay.
It shouldn't be configured anyways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Questions about his?
Nope.
All right, we can go ahead and check. Who's that? Cody Howe.
Mm-hmm.
His might be the same thing too.
He's got an elective, it looks like, down on the bottom. That doesn't have any description other than elective.
Yeah, so that's another one too. The rotation name would need to be checked to find out whether you can claim him or not while he's working elective. Same thing, it's the same situation with the other one. So that's another rotation name to check.
Okay, I'm not going to write a list. I'm just going to tell her to check the rotation name.
Yeah, was the elective. Away.
The elective.
Yeah, so if the elective was in their system, then it's primary. If it was an elective that was away went to the VA or something for a rotation, then it wouldn't be primary.
Right. And then the last one there is Stegerwald. His has that clinic elective again. So vacation is fine, clinic elective needs to be those two. So elective and clinic elective. And like Joe, like you said, if they're going to the VA or something, they can't be claimed. And but it maybe needs to be a little bit, at least you guys have an understanding of why or why not.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just things you need to just double check, okay?
Yep.
Questions on those? All right, the next one is gap locator. which is that tab up the top.
Gap locator.
So this is where you look to see if there's any gaps in people's schedules.
Okay.
So this is a listing of people that do have gaps in their schedules. So for example, Bobby R's, you can click on their name and it pulls up their schedule and it will list any gaps that they may have.
I don't know if I think she's done.
I think she's off cycle. And so she was done, I think she went on, she took leave and came back in August of 2019 and ended hers in August of 2020. So she finished out her,
Yeah, I
her
don't
residency.
think she's a current resident.
Yeah, so, right, she's not, but you still can claim her for that time period, because it falls within that window.
Okay.
Yep, so Paula needs to tell us if that last elective there was within their system or not.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then that would be
So what-
primary.
What does she need to do for these? She needs to, under the gap locator, she needs to check to see what.
Well, for this one, just like Joe said, that the clinic elective, you need to find out whether she clinic at VA, what does that mean, and whether or not it needs to be primary. But the fact that her residency ends on what 8/26, that's just it's gonna show a quote unquote gap because it kind of ends then. It should carry on through 2021 basically, but it doesn't because she's off cycle. That's okay.
Is this the same thing as they checked on the last one? What am I asking her to do here?
To verify the elective was within the system, whether it's a rotation that we can claim or not. We don't know where the elective happened.
Isn't that the same thing as before?
Different thing.
Yes, but it is, but it's showing that there's a gap in her schedule because she's off cycle. So still, we're still looking for the same thing for this one.
Okay. So verify to see if this is an elective that can be claimed or not.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead and click on Beck. You have to click on his name, yeah. And so what we're looking here is for a gap in his schedule. Okay? Now, he's got a whole bunch of vacations thrown in here, but you need to find so for as far as his rotations are concerned, where there is a gap. And I kind of
Doesn't look
pre-checked this, and it is all the way in April. So it goes from April 12th to the 25th, he's on this occupational health. And then the 26th through the 9th, he's on leave, which isn't a primary rotation. And then he's back on the 10th. So the software sees it as a gap in his schedule. Okay, so you need to find out what leave is and if it should be away as opposed to leave. You need to find out what that is. Is it a pause in his training? You need to find out the results for that. But that's showing as a gap in the schedule.
So should leave be listed as away? I should be asking her that?
Yes. Just find out how you guys are handling that. Does leave mean the same thing as away? I don't know.
Well, it looks like the aways aren't checked either.
Right. And is that the same thing as vacation? why, so maybe the question you need to ask is, why did they chose away versus vacation versus leave? What are the difference between the three? And maybe, you know, you're more consistent where it's, you know, vacation, you know, can they all be covered under a vacation umbrella instead of having three different ones, have one and be more consistent with it? That would be my question.
Or they could all mean that they're not in clinic, they're not rotating for whatever reason, and thus not fundable, and we can leave it as away or
Right.
leave, but we just don't know. We'll just have to
Yeah.
ask Paula what
Right.
their definitions are.
You got it. All right. So, and then also we got those other folks there too. Cody Howe.
Yeah, no, that one looks like a legit, like, he's got a gynecology
Yeah, I'm-
purveyor,
15.
which should be, billable.
I think the one that's throwing this one off is the elective. Yeah. So because that's not checked as primary, the software sees it as a gap in the schedule.
So, the gynecology one is not checked as primary either. Is that an issue?
Let me see. Hold on, let me look. What's the date on that one?
September 21st.
I see maternity OB pediatrics from September 21st through October 18th.
I've got gynecology purveyor. Is this, Andrew Stokowski?
Cody Howe?
Oh, no, I'm
Oh,
on
no.
Andrew Stokowski, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Cody Howe has, his is the elective from May 24th.
Yeah,
Oh, yep. And for, you know, what you were saying, Joseph, for Stofke,
mm-hmm.
it's definitely the gynecology, not marked as primary.
I diagnosed something, that's cool. I got it.
Yes, you do. It's not, it's easy, it's just, you know,
It's just not.
find it. Right. It's easy to pinpoint it, but it's like, all right, what's the problem, you know? What's going on with this?
It's finding the pin in the haystack.
And then the
too.
Steigerwald one is, he must be off cycle as well, and it's once again that clinic elective.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Questions about the demographics, block schedule, or gap locator?
No, I just want to explain that, you know, this identifies Deanna and Julie, or yeah, Julie, that this is, if we don't have these 5 months, then those 5 months don't get billed to CMS, and the hospital doesn't get
Right.
that money. So that's,
Right.
yeah, that's pretty, the bread and butter of the report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll email her after this the best I can.
Yeah, I've got a summary I'll send to you as well, and you can review it before you send it to her.
All right. The other one there that says other reviews, I mean, that's optional. That's if you want to go into a little bit more specifics. You can go by status specifically to look at a summary in that aspect. It's going to show, you know, this is for people that have multiple programs if you want to focus that way and pull up a summary report. Not a lot of people use that one. The main three that you want to focus though on is the demographics, the block schedule, and the gap locator. Okay, those are the main ones.
Mhm.
The other reviews, like I said, is just a different way to view everything we just covered.
Okay.
All right. And now, once you've dealt with those, what you can do is generate the package and basically see how, pull this in and see what this is going to spit out for you. So we want to go up there to the top and click on finance. And then click generate, which is in the white bar there. Yep, that one there. You got it. And now for the first one there, so what you're going to do to generate your package is you check the box and only do one at a time. So we're going to do 2020, 2021. And then you would click Queue selected items. Now, depending on how much information is in there, it will tell you, it'll put it in queue. It might take a few minutes. It's, basically kind of doing its work. You're just waiting for it to spit out a report for you, basically. So, like I said, it's queued in. Let me see how it looks on my end. And what it will also do is it can email you to let you know that instead of waiting around for it, it'll email you to let you know that, excuse me, that it's finished processing. So you don't have to wait around for that all day. All right. Let's see. What else do I do here? And what we can do while we're waiting for it, let's see if it'll let me do this. Yes. So while that is, we're queuing one now. There was one that was queued prior to that, back in September. So there's one that has old data. So we can look at the results of the one while this one is queuing new information. So Julie, if you click on finance in the dark blue menu bar, and under the word package in green, one thing we're going to, in the green part. Yeah, well, you can go there. That's fine too. It's all roads lead to Rome on that one. You can click on the error log, yeah. So that's the first thing. Okay, it's queuing, it's waiting. Let's see if it'll let us do this though. Highlight the 2020-21 Sacred Heart. And then scroll down. You want to pull all of your errors, okay? So that second picker box, you're going to leave that as is. The warnings picker box, you don't have to worry about. Don't choose any of those. Those are irrelevant. The errors is what we're going to look for. And then you want to click Show Error Log. Let's see if it'll pull one up for you. same information I got. So this was the information prior to us regenerating the package. So if any changes were made, and if you do make any changes, if you make changes to those block schedules, marking them as primary, or you put in ECFMG dates, once you do that, then you're going to have to regenerate the package. Okay, so any changes you make in, have to reset it or regenerate it or allow it to process it again so that it'll pull in that information that you put in. Okay, but for now, when you have generated one, the thing you want to look at is your error log. And so this is basically telling you what is wrong with certain parts or pieces. Now notice it has codes, right? Like code 110, 115, 110. We have a listing of those codes in the help knowledge base, so that way you know what they are. So if you go into help and knowledge base and type in error code, it will give you a listing of what those are.
Is that Danish Raja, is that still a valid error? Because it didn't pull up before.
Yes.
It's still an error, even though it didn't pull up before?
Yes.
Okay.
It didn't pull up before because it was looking to make sure a date was in, but this time it double checked things and it's saying the date is incorrect. And that's what the code 115 means. Code 115 means that the ECFMG date is prior to the graduation date and it must be later. So it has you need to adjust that date or get the correct date in. So, Julie, just for giggles, so everybody can see this, go over to help and click on knowledge base.
I'm still writing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, say that again?
Go to help and knowledge base. Over on the far right next to your name. And type in error log. Type in error log. Or iris error log. Yeah. And then scroll down a little bit. So running iris error log, click on that article. And then if you scroll down a little bit, it will give you a listing of all of your errors. So that gives you by the code and tells you what is missing and how to resolve it. So there's a little cheat sheet for you. Okay.
So we don't need to worry about warnings?
Correct. All right. And also too, guys, just keep in mind everything that I'm going over right now is also in knowledge base. There is it's called an IRIS handbook. It has everything that I'm doing today that I'm going over. It's all in there for you of steps that you need to take, all the way from, fixing your rotation definitions or creating them, all the way to running your or saving your file. So it's from start to finish. So know that it's all in there for you. And like I said, I actually have the IRIS handbook printed off and I have it tabbed in my binder here that, for quick reference. So, but it gives you step by step how to do it and the explanation for everything. So just know that it's all there for you. All right.
Great.
Okay, let's go ahead and go back to the new innovations. So that was your error log. The next tab over is your reports tab. So this is basically just different ways to filter data. There's a bunch of them. There's like your FTE count, so if you want to see that. Detailed resident review is really nice. We refer to that often. That kind of gives you some information. I guess I got to select a fiscal year for that. I'm kind of doing this with you. It gives you basically your residents, you know, their medical school info, all the information in there. And then it'll also show you your percentages and your FTE information. So it's all listed there for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, each resident with each interval gives you a subtotal. Also will give you grand totals that will match your FTE grand total at the very bottom.
11.64. Good.
Where would you like me to go now?
So that was the detailed resident. I kind of skipped over, and we can talk about it though. The FTE count is basically like this, but it's a little bit more, it's less information, I guess you could say. So to the left, if you click on that FTE count, the left of detailed, yeah. Choose a fiscal year, and then click show FTE count report.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a little bit more basic than the one I just showed you. So it gives you, like I said, your listing of your residents, and all that information there. It's basically the end result of what you're looking for, the summary of, you know, FTE.
Mm-hmm.
Why are there missing residents? Why would that be?
Like, who are you missing?
Are we missing them or not?
If
Maybe
there's
they're not by year. Are they listed by year in here?
years complete, so if they're still their first year, it'd be a
Yeah.
0.
Right.
Okay. But how come there's only 3 of those?
Because according to what you have, there's only 3 first years, or 3 that haven't completed. Like Staff Key, you know, he didn't complete an entire year.
So
Hmm.
our
Who's
PD,
missing?
how are they showing up? I'd have to get the list out.
That's a good question. So there's 14 residents here. And they should have.
So Danish Raja is a PGY1. Dafki is Samantha Vesuvius. Taylor Fueling, Michael Fossil.
So we're missing 2
We have
residents.
I don't. We're missing Cakes Feeling Fossil. Oh, Cakes Fossil. We're missing. We're missing Raja. And we're missing Samantha. Whatever her name is.
Oyulakis. That's my stab at that one.
Well, we know they're both in there because we looked up error logs on them. ECFMG
Is that why?
was Fossil and
Yeah.
and the other
Yep.
one.
Is that why they're not showing up?
Right.
Because there's 3 of them.
Fossil in the
Yeah.
last one.
And Raja and Vesuvius. Yeah, that's
Raja
why.
was missed. Raja's ECFMG date was wrong, so it wouldn't show there either.
Yep,
Yeah,
so that's why.
that's it. Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Good one.
Like if we
Nice,
didn't
Julie.
fix it, it would calculate none of their stuff.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not in the format that the CMS would reimburse. Doesn't have the data.
Exactly. Yep. Good.
So the good news is we can't overbill CMS and be fraudulent. Or it seems like it prevents.
Yes. Right.
It prevents that.
You can
from
underbill,
happening.
but you
Definitely
can't overbill.
We definitely underbill all of those 3 FTEs.
Yeah, that's why it's important to check all of those like demographics, schedules, gaps, all that stuff to make sure everything's set before you actually, send the information off. And when you do make those changes, you have to regenerate the package. A lot of times people say, well, I made all the changes and it's not showing up. And then we ask if they regenerated the package, and they haven't, because it'll give you the date and the time when it was last generated. So
It does or does not.
it does. So
Okay.
Julie, if you go back and click on finance and generate. So notice now who last generated and the date and the time.
Joseph.
Okay, right? Haha. Got his name on there.
Whoa.
So what we can do now is you can now we can take a look at it and check the error log again now that has been generated and see if it's the same. Like I said, we were looking at September data, and it looks like you guys have the same 3 on the error log.
I only need a queue to generate.
Well, yeah, yours is still generating.
Where would I find the error log again? How do I get there again?
So
How do
go
I
to
do-
click on finance,
Mm-hmm.
and underneath package
Oh, yeah,
in green,
got
you're
it.
going to click on error log.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I went to the wrong thing, sorry.
So more than likely, it'll have the same information because nothing has been changed.
Right, yep, same 3, okay.
Yeah.
How do I know which one I'm viewing?
How do you know what fiscal year you're viewing?
How do I know which, report I'm viewing?
You're reviewing the error log, which is different from those reports. So the
Okay.
error log is looking for, you would have to click Sacred Heart and check to see if there's any errors. That's the first thing you look at.
It's going to be the same though, right?
It's not the same, no. The error logs are the things that have to be fixed, and then you look at your FTE count or your resident
Right, but
review.
it didn't change.
Right, because nothing was changed. So basically, the summary of this little experiment was, the last time the package was generated was in September, and between September and the time we regenerated the package, there were no changes made according to the error log that was already established. So it's going to repeat the same error log because those changes haven't been made. So once you go in and make those changes based off the error log and then regenerate your package, those errors will hopefully disappear.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Questions?
In terms of
All
what
right.
gets submitted
Go
to
ahead.
CMS then,
Yes. that's where I'm heading to
Oh,
next.
okay. All right.
So it comes down to actually, what are you sending to CMS? So what you want to do from here is click on Finance, and underneath the green word Package, you're going to click on Files. We probably could have clicked on the tab Files. Notice that the tabs, there's Airlog Reports and Files. There's tabs there. So it's a couple roads that lead to Rome there. So what you would do is, once you have generated the package, again, after you've made your changes, you're going to save your package. Okay, and so what you would do is you would click on where it says DBF master file,
Mm-hmm.
and that includes the information that is in personnel and about the block schedules. And when you click on that, it's going to put it in a format that what CMS wants.
It didn't seem to work for me.
Probably because I was doing it. Sorry.
That looks
Oh,
okay,
wait,
Julie.
open,
So the DBF, yeah, down there at the bottom, it showed up.
Yeah, the problem is we don't have a database software.
Right. So you can't read it, but you can save it as a DBF. That's the only thing it's telling you there.
How do we know if
So
it's
once
good?
How do I know what it's safe?
Well, you have to make sure you would see right there. It is right there. You click on it.
Oh, there. I clicked over too far to the left.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can open it, but it is saved. So if you go into your computer, into your downloads, if you look to see where your downloads are, you're going to see that, and that's the file that you would need to send off.
I just clicked show and it showed me, so then I could save it somewhere else.
Yeah, you can put that in a like in a folder or something.
So mine is 3K, so I doubt if I have data in it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So I wonder, what did I do? But I didn't get data.
And really all you have to do from this point for that one is save it and send it to CMS.
Yeah. Problem is that with 3K of data, I probably don't have the data. It's only showing 3K.
Yeah, and how do I
what?
Move it to a spot where I can find it again?
You need to create a folder, and did you create a folder for it?
Let's just creating it in there.
So the master file is just your personnel records file, and then your assignment file is going to be your block schedule. So you want to do for both.
I think this is going to have to be something I mess around with at the time because it's not working.
If I have Access installed on my computer, would it relate to that? Could it open in Access? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not letting me put it where I want it.
Have you tried to click and drag it into the folder? Do you have the folder over there on the, so on the left-hand side, you have like, yeah, so you can click and drag it. Is it one of those like Rural GMC or WINC?
Yeah, but those are huge. Now I just lost it. Because you only put stuff in folders in there, you don't put it in there. It's gone.
You can do a search for it in that folder.
dbf.dbf file.
Yeah.
Search on
I would call it M something. You want to search for M, the title of it. There was like and then your provider number.
We'll change the title of it.
Oh.
Be recognizable.
I wouldn't change you don't want to change the title of the file. You want to keep that formatting. You want to save it as M and then the number, which is your provider number, .dbf.
Okay. Well, I lost it in here.
Because that's the only way they'll accept it.
Oh, okay. I can't find it.
So I think it's M3520013.
But I changed the name of it, and I changed it to Iris.
Yeah.
Well,
you can always download it again. You can download it obviously as you saw as many times as you want to. It's just going to be copies of it.
I just don't want stuff floating around cluttering things up.
Yeah, we can hunt for that later. It'll still be in your download queue.
Maybe it didn't move over like I thought it did. It must not have.
And that, so from that point, let me see here. Once it's saved, then you just send it off to CMS.
In this case, our hospitals would submit it, so we send it to our hospitals for them to submit it.
Yes.
But again, would these files be bigger than 3K?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, okay. It seems awful small amount of data.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, it seems like I might not have gotten it all, but anyway, I can follow up on that. Then there's the unclaimed file. I mean, what's that for? That's just the checks and balance, or?
Yes.
But that does not go to CMS. That's just for our own information.
Those are the ones that are unclaimed.
Right.
If you've set it up that way, yes.
Right. So CMS only needs the hospital-based one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thoughts or questions?
Oh, there will be. Right now it's...
Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, right now it's all pretty good. We'll have to have Paula make some edits to the schedule, and then we can try and play around together, Julie, and try to run one, after.
Yeah, so basically, get those changes made, regenerate your package, check the error log, check your FTE detail, check your resident summary, make sure everything looks good. That's what you kind of do. It's like, back in your days of, writing a paragraph, you give it to the teacher and teacher says, no, you got to change this, and you go back and change it, then you bring it back and run it through again through her, it's kind of the same thing. Make your changes, regenerate your package, check your error log, check your FTE, all that looks good. The last thing you're going to do, though, is save those master and assignment files. So that's the very last thing that you'll do. Like I said, the other thing too is, believe me, if you have any questions, call us or submit a ticket. We are more than glad to help you with that. use the IRIS handbook. There is an IRIS, it's called IRIS handbook. It's super, super helpful as well. Everything that I've gone over is all in there, and then some. But that's pretty much it.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
I release you to the wolves.
Okay.